Learning paths are Vuolearning's role, task, or situation-specific learning entities, which consist of more than one course or other activity. For these learning path steps, an order of completion can be defined. You can create and view your own learning paths by selecting the Learning Paths button from the top menu. Creating a new learning path is done by selecting the Create Path button. First, you get to name your new learning path. After selecting the Create button, your new learning path is almost ready except for the content. Now you can add courses and kinds of steps to your learning path. Adding steps is done by selecting the Add Step button. Let's now add a few steps to this learning path: 2 courses, a calendar event, and an achievement. For the added steps, an order of completion can be determined next by selecting the arrow button from the top right corner. The order of the steps can be changed by dragging and dropping. Now we can have a look at the settings of this learning path. From the left-hand side menu, settings are chosen. In this settings view, a description can, and absolutely should, be written for the learning path. An image can also be added to the learning path. Also, in this view, it can be determined whether completing the previous step of the learning path is mandatory before proceeding to the next step. Different competencies accumulation can also be linked to the learning path. In this view, it can be determined whether the user will be granted certain competencies or achieves a certain competency level based on the completion of this learning path. For the users of this learning path and also other specified users, such as supervisors, email reminders related to the learning path's target schedule can be sent. The reminder times can be set freely, and as many can be added as necessary. Finally, the certificate settings of the learning path can be edited as desired. The target schedule and the mandatory nature of the learning path steps can be edited separately for each step. By selecting the Settings button for the desired step, the mandatory nature and the target schedule can be edited in the pop-up window that opens next. A step can be made mandatory or kept optional. On the other hand, the course's target schedule can be linked to a specific date, or to the moment when the user was added to the learning path. Now, when the settings are in order, the learning path can be shared with the desired target group. The settings related to sharing the learning path can be found behind the Share button. In this view, it is possible to define the status with which users can log into the learning path. Or alternatively, individual users can be added to the learning path by selecting the Add Users button or groups by selecting the Add Group button. Analytics, an essential part of the learning path, can be viewed from the left-hand side menu under the Follow item. Analytics can be studied as a whole or one user at a time. It is also possible to filter users or groups and select analytics based on the completion status. The certificates granted from the learning path can be seen with the Certificates button on the left-hand side menu. From the activity log you can see the changes related to the learning path, and behind the Admin button, you can find the owners of the learning path, information on possible integrations, and the possibility to delete the learning path. A ready-made learning path looks visually appealing and intuitive in the user's view. The user sees the order of the steps, detailed information related to the steps, and the description of the learning path and the competencies attached to it. In this view, the user can also track their own progress on the respective learning path.